Alright, today we're going to make a fairly quick video on this particular fig I have in front of me. And this particular fig is a St Rita fig. The St Rita fig is classified as a Mount Etna type fig. Mount Etna is in Sicily, Italy. It's actually, I still believe it's still an active volcano. And that particular area of Sicily, Italy happens to have a lot of different fig varieties, and that's where the Mount Etna fig name comes from, is from that volcano. And this particular variety is, like I said, the Santa Rita fig. Sometimes they refer to these, instead of Mount Etna figs, style figs, they refer to them as a hardy Chicago fig, which is a Mount Etna type fig. It's just that's one of the most popular ones, especially in America. I mean, it's so popular. It's the type of fig that you may even find for sale at places like Lowe's or Home Depot. So this is actually the first year of this fig, and that's kind of the reason I want to make this video. So this was actually planted this spring. It was planted the spring of this year, and it was very small. It was in a 1-gallon pot. Just to give you an idea of how small it was. I mean, it was probably, literally, like, it was one little twig with just a few leaves on it. I mean, not even 6 inches tall, 8 inches tall, with a couple leaves on it, very thin. So it's grown all this since spring of this year. And not only that, it's actually produced quite a bit of figs on it as well. Now these are a little later than they probably would normally come once it's established, because we know we're in October right now. These are probably more likely come in normal times, late August. I mean, coming to the ripe stage sometime in September versus all the way up in October. But it's actually really impressive that it's grown this much in 1 year and actually producing edible figs in that short of a time frame. Now, this type of fig is also what we call a berry fig. I think all St Rita figs, all St Rita, but all Mount Etna figs may be classified as like a berry fig. So it's like your dark skin on the outside and kind of that red flesh in the inside. Some people say the flavor is kind of like strawberry jam. I really wouldn't say that. But it's not bad. So I have one. I'm going to pick the ripest one I have, which is this one here. So as you can see, it's a nice purple color. Now there's just a tidbit of green on the back side of it still. I mean, you could wait till it's even darker than this, just depending on, what type of maybe animals or stuff you have around. The riper it gets, the more likely they are to mess with it. But to give you an idea of the color, it's that, nice red inside. And the flavor's not bad. It's kind of like, I would say, it's on the milder side. It's definitely not a strong fig. I think this would be really good for making jams with. It actually dehydrate pretty well because it is on a drier side, even though we got a lot of rain recently. These swelled up a little bit, but they don't seem to crack. And I live in Zone 7B, central part of North Carolina. The Mount Etna figs are a little more cold hardy than your other variety of figs. Because depending on the altitude of which it grew up in the area, obviously temperatures are going to change quite a bit. But for instance, the hardy Chicago, I think is ready for like 6A or 6B, versus like most varieties are like 7B to 8A. And I think the St. Rita fig is just as cold hardy as the hardy Chicago fig, if not even more hardy. It's hard to tell. Winter dieback from figs is very common if the branch is actually dying off, but then they'll come right back from the base and just take off since they have that nice root establishment. So I got red clay soil. The only thing I did when I planted it, I always try to mix in like a little bit of black cow. Sometimes I'll mix in some soil conditioner. All soil conditioner is typically just like fine pine fines, like really broke down, very fine stuff. And I'll incorporate that into the native soil. I don't ever take the native soil out. That's a mistake that people do make when planting any type of tree. You never want to remove your native soil. And it's okay to incorporate things. You just want to incorporate it into that native soil. So just some soil conditioner, black cow I always like to add, and I just do it like a granular organic fertilizer. And then I have fertilized a couple times this year with just like a liquid organic fertilizer. I really like Aggie Thrive, which is like a fish emulsion with a corn steep liquor, which is becoming really common now for organic fertilizers. But it's done really well. It's in a full sun location, which I do recommend, as figs do like sun. They'll definitely do a lot better. If they're in more shady condition, a lot of times they'll develop the fruit later on, and that can be an issue because where I live, a frost it's pretty common to get a frost towards the end of October, sometimes in the middle of October, sometimes as late as like to the middle of November. It just really depends. Once this hits a frost, all these figs are going to be, if there's any figs that haven't ripened yet, they're not going to be any good. And so far, all the figs that we've been getting have been coming off the bottom, and they're definitely larger. And it's been off this one branch, versus these are probably the smallest and right here. So I think all these on this, at least on this bottom half, will make it. I mean, they've already turned that purple color, so I'm just trying to let them get as ripe as possible. But yeah, St Rita fig, I highly recommend it. It's very productive. They say, and I'm witnessing it, it's definitely very productive. This thing is gonna, once this thing gets some size on it, this thing is absolutely gonna, I mean, this thing is just gonna put out a crazy amount of figs, which is fine. My wife and I make fig jam all the time. Made a lot this year. Figs dehydrate really well, and they store really well dehydrated. And they taste pretty good dehydrated as well. I think better than a lot of fruits do. But yeah, anyway, St. Rita fig. If you're into growing figs and you're curious about this one, maybe give it a try. It seems to do really well. And until next time, I hope y'all have a good day.